What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. The word term is used in our language under many different scenarios. When you think of term, or a term, you think of a fixed period of time. A season, maybe. A semester. A term. You may also look at terms as an agreement, the set terms and conditions of something. Every time you download an app or sign up for a service, you encounter this. You have to agree. You can also use the word terms to describe the state of being of a relationship, like we are on bad terms or good terms. The word term has Latin roots to the word terminus, which means end or conclusion, or even the boundary of something. Terms, agreements, boundaries that come to an end. Which only got my mind spinning like crazy about the relationship between these words and how we overlook a lot of the deeper meanings we don't inherently understand about them or negotiate up front, but we have these terms. I have this sick tendency, kind of like Gary Vee, but flipped on its head in a sense. Gary Vee says anytime he's having a bad day, the way that he taps into gratitude is that he imagines someone he loves dying. And in a sick way, that makes him grateful for not having today be that day, or this moment being that moment. It allows him to put things in perspective and how the current thing stressing him is not so big. Now, I do a similar thing, but it's not exactly to tap into gratitude, even though I should exercise it more in that area, I guess. For me, it's more about clarity, more for decision making. More for trying to see past any current emotional state of anger or otherwise and try to see things from an ending instead of just a narrow cloud of what I see through now. What do I mean by that? How terminal do I want my terms to be? I have been having this thought a lot recently, and ironically, when I was cooking in the kitchen the other day, my mother was listening to some Indian guru speak on the same topic. I've been having a lot of relationship issues with the people in my life, including my parents and my siblings and even my romantic life. Most of it in my head. I think it was Mark Twain who said something like, I've had a lot of problems in my life. Some of them actually happened. Most of the problems are in our heads. Clearly, I'm the issue if all these relationships are affected altogether, and I accept that. But that's not what I'm here to debate today. What I'm here to point out, though, is that in the midst of the anger or all these issues with people being on bad terms, so to speak, I try to fast forward all of our current problems to its final end and ask myself this question. This is what I mean by what I've been pondering on for a long time. No matter how angry I am or upset I am or wronged I feel, I ask myself this question. Will I show up to this person's funeral? Will I perform what I would probably then consider my duty? And very quickly, no matter how angry I am, I cannot come to a solid answer where I can say to myself and allow myself to say that I am so angry and so upset that I'm not going to, and I'm going to be able to hold myself back from being there at the end. Because unfortunately, in the face of life and death, everything melts away. All the other shit is just human nonsense and relational bullshit. And it doesn't stand in the realm of permanence like death does. And I've also made this mistake once before when my grandfather passed away, who loved me a lot his entire life. But because during that window of time I wasn't speaking to my family for years, I didn't even reach out to him in his last hours. And when I spoke to my grandmother years later, she told me that he kept asking for me. And I'll never be able to undo that. So why would I sign myself up for that again? And which is similar to what this guru was saying. You're mad at your sibling, you're mad at your brother. Will you be there when they die? Will you go to the funeral? And if the answer is yes, if you will show up to the funeral, why would you show up to the funeral if you won't show up to their life? Why would you show up to their death if you don't show up to their life? Which is to tell you what I mean by all of this is that any terms you are in with people, you better be ready for you or them to die under those terms. Good or bad. If you plan on showing up to their funeral, if you have enough sensible clarity, if you can detach from the moment and zoom forward to that moment, if you realize that you will actually be there at the end, then maybe you need to fix whatever issues you have now. Because any moment, any day spent under bad terms is a potential terminal sentence. And if you leave anything undone, unspoken today, for maybe you will get to it tomorrow, just know that you are agreeing, accepting, whether you realize it or not, agreeing to let yourself die having left that thing undone or unspoken. Because you do not know what tomorrow or the next second holds. Your current terms hold the potential of being terminal. Even the saying, being on good terms or bad terms, has finality built into it. It sets up an engagement under an agreement of boundaries, or that the relationship will meet its ends. Its term will be over. And I'm not going to tell you that you need to mend all relationships, or some ones shouldn't be discarded, or that some don't actually hold you back. Some relationships do actually cross the boundaries and fall outside the agreed upon scope of what is healthy or permissible or even required to maintain that relationship. All I'm saying is, in those terms, acknowledge the terms, actually know the effect that they have, and understand the implications built into them. As long as you are willing to let your terms, your current, be the ones that you can live with at the terminal end, then you have all the clarity you need. My fear is that many of us do not think through this enough and take lightly what is meant for us to take very seriously. Start with the end in mind. If you will be there at the end, be there now. Whatever you will be able to live with at the end, that's what matters now. Nothing else matters more. I love you, family. Stay true always. I'll see you on the next show.